everybody. Thanks again for tuning in to 5-Minute Finance. My name is Colin and I'm a financial advisor here at IHT Wealth Management in Chicago. So for this week's video, I want to take a little bit of a different spin on things. I know you usually try to talk about a type of product, a way to invest, something like that, and really go the educational route. So I want to do a similar process, but I want to use the coronavirus, right? So I want to take something that's not necessarily financial by nature and talk about, how to look at it through a financial lens, and then within that, how do we find opportunity from this? So just to give you a little bit of background on how I get my information and things like that. So, these big insurance companies and investment firms, right, they have experts that they work with, people like the CDC, the World Bank, and they compile the data of what's going on, try to put together just an itemized report of, here are the statistics, and kind of centralize those facts. And then they send it out to people like myself that can, hopefully put together what does this mean for you? So that's what I'm here to do. So some of the stats just to kind of get started, right? So currently what's going on with the coronavirus, we've got 43,000 confirmed cases, 1,000 deaths, which puts it at about a 1% or 2% mortality rate, right? So for reference, seasonal flu has a 1% mortality rate. So again, what we're dealing with here, obviously it's a serious situation. You've had cities shut down. However, it's not the end of the world. We're going to get through this. In a month or two, I'm thinking that we're going to look back on this and say, okay, well, we all got a little crazy, but we rebounded, we're back on track, everything's good to go. So just again, for reference, I want to go through the 2003 case of SARS, right? Everybody remembers, Ebola, swine flu, that was the most recent thing, but in 2003, China had the SARS outbreak, right? And that was 7,000 confirmed cases, 774 deaths, which is an obvious 10% fatality rate. So now I want to talk a little bit about what does that mean, finance-wise. So back in 2003, when China had that outbreak of SARS, it shaved 2% of the GDP growth off of 2003, which, for reference, the past 5 years they've averaged somewhere between 6 and 7%. So if you lose 2% of that, that's obviously a big hit. And a lot of that was lost in things like transportation, tourism, hospitality, right? So right now, not a lot of people are really excited to go on their trip to Shanghai in a week or two, right? People are postponing that. You have to plan around that, and that's reasonable, right? Take a look at this picture this is the Shanghai Financial District, right? If downtown Chicago or Wall Street in New York, if that's what this looked like, people would obviously expect our top line to be affected, right? We're going to make less money. There's not people out and about. You're not consuming these products. Like, economy has almost stalled over there, right? So we just need to take into account what that means. So what does that mean for you? What does that mean for your investment? So for this year, 2020, we're expecting about a 0.5 point, maybe 1% less in China's reduced GDP, which, is it a ton? No, but it makes a material difference, no doubt about it, right? If you're only doing 6-7%, when I say only 2, that's very impressive. They're growing fast. If you're doing 6-7%, 0.5 point, 1%, that matters. So you'll see reduced GDP. And you saw right at the end of January, the markets over there, they tanked, right? The Shanghai Stock Exchange, it pulled back a couple hundred points. And you've already started to see a little bit of recovery, and I think people understood, all right, maybe it was an overreaction, maybe it wasn't, but you've seen the market start to recover a little bit. So what I just want to make the point of it is things like this, the coronavirus, epidemics, although they're horrible things, there's a way to use that as almost a buying opportunity, right? You know the market's going to take a tank, it's going to go. Markets tend to overreact, so you'll see this commitment from the Chinese government as well, right? I mean, you think about if this happened here, right? If you lost 2 months of commerce in a big city or something like that, the government, workers, everyone involved would do everything in their power to kind of get back on track, to get to where, to hit your goals for 2020, and it's no different over there. So you'll expect some support from the Chinese government. They'll do what they need to do to get back on track and to kind of get back to where they want to be at the end of 2020. So with that in mind, this should have been a buying opportunity, right? And maybe we're a little bit past that because we've had a little bit of support in these markets over the past couple weeks. But again, big picture, when an event like this happens, again, it's horrible and I understand that, but you can look at it of, this is an opportunity to invest. This is an opportunity to where, maybe a stock was at $200, now it's at 150, but you feel confident that it's going to get back up to 200. So that's what's called a buying opportunity, and it's simple, but those are the types of things that you need to do. So that's it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. Any questions, comments, topics to address in future videos, leave them in the comments below. If you ever need to get in contact with someone like myself as well, I've newly added some contact information in our website in the comments below as well. So thanks again, and thanks for tuning in.